What is going on, Bread fans? My name is Jay of Insane Coaster Junkie, and you are listening to another episode of Right on Track. We are right on track for a real good time. And today, as you are listening, this is pretty much the night before Waldameer opens for the season. 'Twas the night before Waldameer and all came through the house. It's time for a serious talk. Now, in the last episode, I did talk about violence in America's theme parks, and I talked about some of the hidden dangers that has happened over the years. But now I'm here for another serious discussion. What do I bring to a parks, and how should you prepare for a park? So in this episode, it's going to be more of a survival guide from the perspective of me. Now, here's a couple of pointers I would like to make before getting into this episode. Number one, I am on the autism spectrum. So some of the accommodations that I have will differ from person to person on a case-by-case basis based on their needs on the spectrum and whatnot. So there may be accommodations I may need more than others that help me better and some not. So there will be a little bit of a fine line between it. So take this with a grain of salt and determine what needs you might need for you and or your child. And these are just personal preferences over the years about advice I've gotten from friends, roller coaster YouTubers, or other things that I've deemed that are sustainable for park travel. So everything is just honestly my opinion at the end of the day, and again, based on my needs on the spectrum. So we're just gonna go with it and see what you think about it. So I'm gonna jump into this, wasting no time, and I'm gonna be talking about what I usually bring to an amusement park, because when it comes to bringing supplies, it is a case-by-case basis, as I said with the autism spectrum. Generally, my rule is the bigger the park, the less I bring, and vice versa. So the saying less is more kind of does apply here. So everything I'm going to mention in this episode will be based on a standard I do at my home park, Waldameer, and then we will pretty much go from there what I do need or want. So when I go to Waldameer, I usually bring a little bit of a bag. Not a big bag, but I bought a cheap one out of Walmart. It's a mini size book bag. Pretty much the essentials where I can pretty much put everything I need in there. Plus water park stuff just in case I go to the water park. So I've had this bag for a while now. I need to order a new one because the strap broke, but it's by On. I'm not sponsored by them. So anything I mentioned product-wise, they're not sponsored. It's just things I have around my disposal. But this On book bag is pretty good. It's very versatile, and it can help me in a variety of scenarios. So that bag is pretty much my main bag when I go to smaller parks. Obviously, the bigger the park, there's going to be more in terms of locker policies and other things, and we'll get to that. So Waldameer, I usually bring that bag with me. If it's a cooler day, I'll usually bring something that will keep me warm. Obviously, if I'm going to Waterworld, I'm going to be bringing a bathing suit and a towel. Sometimes I opt out of the towel, but that is just me. But if I do bring extra clothes, I'll have one of those on standby, either one or both, that usually fit in my bag, no problem. And usually what else I bring is a water bottle of some sorts. Either the souvenir cup I either bring from home that I bought at the park, or a personal bottle of mine at home. The only problem is when I go to Waterworld, you have to usually dispose of it, so I usually like to keep it empty when I go through Waterworld. And that'll be pretty much that. I can always fill up water inside the water park, not a big deal. And that kind of goes the same with food as well, because you can bring in your own food into the amusement park, but you can't bring your own food into the water park. So if I have some snacks with me, usually there'll be about a variety of cookies or crackers, or some small snack that I can easily put in there, either maybe dry cereal, maybe a granola bar, maybe a chocolate bar that hasn't melted yet, something like that. If I have like an outside snack or something, I'll just put them on the little shelf they have of outside food and drinks and just pick it up when I'm done with the water park. But otherwise, I'll just carry the food around with me, and I will use that to my disposal, whatever food I have. Sometimes I don't need to go the entire day with food. Sometimes I'll have a food every so often. It just depends how much I ate before I got to the park and what I'm doing afterwards. So I kind of have to micromanage that. But food is also a specialty that we'll have to get into a little bit as well. After that is pretty much my big stuff, which is my camera equipment. as of this recording, I pretty much got rid of every other camera equipment I have. So the only camera I got now is my recently acquired GoPro Hero 12 Black. So I'll have the camera. I have 2 spare batteries, which are the Enduro kind, which are the long-lasting one. Plus, they are wide temperature range, so I can film in a variety of climate conditions, which is pretty much very versatile. So I'll have the camera on standby because Waldemir does allow on-ride filming as long as you have a secure 5-point chest mount across the waist and torso. So I'll usually bring my chest mount around with me, and I'll have a vlogging stick. Some people call it a grip, some call it a stabilizer, but it's something I bought in 2019, and it's still very versatile to this day. And it's a nice vlogging stick for when I do like walking shots or vlogging shots or cinematic things. I'll have that at my disposal. So pretty much I'll have all my camera equipment with me at all times because you never know if I'm going to need something for a video or an upcoming project or whatever the scenario might be. So I'll always have that with me, and it's just super easy to clip on and off. I'll just usually throw the chest mount on my chest, and then once I'm done using it, I'll just put it back in my bag and rinse and repeat, because I don't like having the chest mount on too long, because I've known to have some chest compression with it. It kind of is a little bit more difficult to breathe. Plus, when I'm on the spinny rides, it can get a little uncomfortable after prolonged use. So I tend to keep it off when I'm not riding stuff or when I'm not filming, and use it when I am filming. So other than that, some other things, I have some miscellaneous things. Obviously, you need your wallet and keys to get into places. So put your car keys in a safe place, as well as your wallet. In wallet, you pretty much just only need your basics, like your debit card. If you have cash, it's always good to have, even though most parks don't take cash anymore. There's always machines that can convert cash to card. Waldemir has their way of the Wally card kiosks. So I always have everything on standby as well. Don't forget your season pass to whatever parks you may be going to. So I have my Waldemir season pass, my Kennywood season pass, and my Six Flags Darien Lake membership, which also includes all park passport for the Legacy Cedar Fair parks. So I have pretty much everything I need within the region. So wherever I need to go, I have a season pass for, and I can access. And it also is great to have those passes on your phone if possible. I know Six Flags and Cedar Fair does it, that you can put your park tickets right on your phone, and it is convenient because when I go to the larger parks now, all I have to do at the booth or at the tickets or whatever I need to be, either parking or front entrance, I can just show them my phone, and that's pretty much it. Hershey, it worked out well too. So whatever means it is, do it. It's great to have the physical copy in your wallet, but just in case, always have a digital copy on your phone. Some parks may not accept it, but a lot of the major retail chain parks do. That's pretty much my standard for Waldemir. Obviously, there's other things too, like sunglasses and other clothing items, which I'm going to get to. But generally, that's pretty much what I bring to a park. And the larger the park, the smaller I bring. And this is kind of an analogy I started with Cedar Point. But now I'm almost transitioning this into pretty much any other park I go to. Because I don't like really logging around a bag all day. It's a lot of weight and it's just a lot of things to do. I tried a fanny pack in 2020 to combat that, which did not work. I'm not the biggest fan of fanny packs. They're not really that great. Sometimes fanny packs are banned on certain rides, so it's kind of just of a lose-lose situation if you get to a ride that has more strict policies or require lockers. So I kind of just go with the alternate method in your pockets, which again, I'll get into later. So generally, less is more, the larger the park. And when I go to a larger park, I'll just use the other regional parks in my vicinity. So Kennywood, Six Flags Darien Lake, and Cedar Point. Obviously, bag policies are going to be different between each parks. Some of them allow larger bags. You can always get an all-day locker, which when I did my trip with my friend group, they just get a huge locker we can all put our stuff in, which I personally do not like, because why bring a bag if you're not going to be really using it? So I don't really go with the all-day locker option. Keep everything in the pockets, but usually what I'll bring is a lot smaller. It's an abridged version. Sometimes parks do allow a sealed water bottle to be brought in the park. You can bring one of those in. Sometimes I'll bring one depending on the situation, but if not, there's drinking fountains, or I'll just suck up the money to get a water bottle, plastic one, and then I can always just chuck that in my pocket, crush it up, and then whenever I need, I'll just go to a drinking fountain and fill it up there. I'm not a soda or a pop drinker, if you don't know, so that eliminates the cost for various refills and whatnot, but having that water is nice. Sometimes, maybe I'll sneak in a chocolate bar or a granola bar. Usually that's not detected by security and metal detectors or whatever, but if you do have one of those like really, really small items, usually they can get by with, but bringing in like big snacks, coolers and stuff, unless the park allows food and drink to be brought in the park, don't do it. Because there are certain circumstances where it is eligible, such as if you have a dietary restriction or need or medical reasons. That's obviously an exemption. But I'm just a picky eater, so I just only bring in what I feel comfortable. And usually when I'm at a park, I'm not worried about just digging in my pocket for a snack. So usually if I go to other parks, snacks are not really the option. If I am filming at a park, obviously I am bringing the camera, but it's only pretty much going to be the camera itself and the battery. I'm not going to bring any other accessories. Most other parks do not allow on-ride filming, so the chest mount pretty much stays in the car. And now Six Flags as a whole is starting to crack down on like selfie sticks and other handheld devices. So the grip I use for my videos do not go in the parks as well. So I am just fine bringing the shelf camera as is. GoPros are pretty versatile these days with the hyper smooth functions, so it's just easier to bring in the camera and I can get the shot as is. Not an issue, and I think it's better that way because, again, the cameras are very small. You can easily fit them in the pocket. Not too bad. And obviously, you need your wallet and keys to get into the park, and your phone, so it's always versatile to have those essentials to put it in there. And again, like I said earlier, with bag policies, they are varied from park to park. Some of them are very strict, some of them are loose. Most times you will go through security, either a metal detector or wanding or whatever the park ensues. And there'll be some exemptions of events like Kennywood's holiday events like Phantom Fall Fest and Holiday Lights, where bags are pretty much banned because of certain reasons. If you want to learn more about why that was the case, you can check out the previous episode for more information. But basically, long story short, there were some incidents at Kennywood that promoted them to do stricter bag policies that are no larger than a clutch purse. I believe it's 8x5x2. It's a very, very fine line. So whenever I just go to a park, I just assume the Kennywood no bag policy for everything. I know that's a little bit on the more extreme side of things, but I'd rather bring less to the park that I don't need. I'd rather just bring the essentials, because the more stuff I have, the more it's going to cost me in the long run. So as long as you bring the essentials to a park, it's pretty much not a big deal. And I'm just fine with the essentials I do have. Again, my camera is there for versatile stuff. My phone is there for obviously tickets and communication purposes in the case of an emergency. Got my car keys because obviously where else am I going to go? And if I need food and drink, I always have options. But I'll get into that and strategies I use throughout the time. So I talked about what I bring to a park. And sometimes I'll leave with souvenirs, and I technically do the souvenirs towards the end of the day, so I don't have to drag around things throughout the day. I usually do that way. But again, I'll get into money strategies. So now that I talked about what I bring, what do I wear? Because wearing stuff at the park will be crucial to your day based on comfort. And again, the main factor that you have to watch for is weather. Now, fortunately, I work in a situation where we have the leading team of meteorologists in Erie, Pennsylvania, so we pretty much have the most accurate and reliable information that can be relayed. So any weather questions I have before I go to a park, I simply just ask my meteorologist coworkers, and I say, hey, I'm going to this and this city for this and this park. What can I expect for the weather? And usually they'll give me advice for if I need to leave early just in case a pop-up storm, something that comes up or whatever. I even did that for Coaster Bash because I know there was going to be a little bit of a wintry situation in Erie, and I was a little concerned this was going to slow down some things. but it ended up being not too bad at all. But it's always best to prepare you, because as they say in my workplace, they're there to prepare you, not scare you. So it's always nice to have that reliance on local meteorologists, but I know everyone's not going to have that direct connection. So the best bet is your local weather app. And I know there's a bunch out there, the Weather Channel, WeatherBug. It's just whatever weather app works for you. But in a pretty much a neutral sense, just look at the National Weather Service and see what they have to say. And usually, if I'm planning a big trip out far in advance, I have to look at the forecast, because obviously forecasts are always changing. Weather is always changing. So 70 and sunny on a Saturday may not be reflected 2 days from now or something. It can be changed, and weather is always changing. Forecasting technology can never be 100% accurate. I've known that from my experience working in the studio, but it's just a variable you can't really control. So, but your best bet is to prepare yourself, not scare yourself. So I always look at the weather to see a general guideline, and then I'll make my move. If it's raining or it's going to be a thunderstorm and it's an all-day event, then pretty much I'm either going to look for something else to do or cancel the trip entirely. Very few times I had trips rain out on me, and the only times that really done that was pretty much Kennywood 2023 during Fall Fest, where the park closed 8 hours early. But other than that, I'm usually pretty lucky with weather. The only variable I have to work with is extreme heat or cold. During the summertime, I have to deal with the heat, obviously. If I'm going to like Pittsburgh or either inland, that's like 90 degrees or above, I have to be mindful of what's out there. And then obviously during the fall and winter, once it gets pretty cold, I have to bundle up. So it's just a matter of stuff. Obviously, I'm going to be wearing a t-shirt outside during the summer. I usually do a coaster t-shirt because, well, I'm a coaster enthusiast, obviously. I want to represent either my favorite parks or my favorite coasters, and usually that gets the buzz talking. And usually lighter colors reflect better than dark colors. Dark colors just absorb all the heat. So wearing black, blue, brown, stuff like that, wearing dark colors in general will embrace a lot of heat. But unfortunately, I don't listen to my own advice I give you, because most of my wardrobe is either black, gray, blue, or red. All dark colors. And they're all in like dark variations. Like right now I'm wearing a brown Wildcats Revenge shirt. So that's going to reflect a lot of heat. But that's kind of my own fault, but those are the colors I like, so I have to deal with that type of absorbing heat. But wear a t-shirt that's comfortable. Don't be wearing baggy stuff or long fit stuff in the summer. That's just going to look ridiculous on you, especially if it's going to be 90 degrees or above. Obviously, you need to stay hydrated in hot weather and also cold weather, just to make sure your body's in check. So wearing a comfortable shirt is obviously good for warm weather, I mean. In cooler weather, I will usually wear a sweatshirt of some sort, like a hoodie. Not really a long sleeve t-shirt, because I feel like those don't really do anything, but obviously I'm going to bring out the hoodie just in case. And obviously if I'm at a park that it has cooler temperatures, this is mainly during the fall and winter months, so anywhere from pretty much late September to December, I either have a light Columbia spring jacket that I wear that serves as like a spring light jacket, or my Columbia winter jacket, which is my big bulky one. So I'll either wear one of or to a park, and I'm usually pretty comfortable. And usually I'll dictate what the temperature is for what coat I wear. Obviously I'm going to be wearing a hoodie during the winter, so it'll keep me warm, and I never really had an issue. Gloves are a good necessity too in colder climates, because obviously if you're going to be riding roller coasters in 50 degrees or below, it is going to be windy. Because if you're going 85 miles an hour on Phantom's Revenge in 45 degree weather, the wind chill is going to feel like 20. And it's going to be cold. So wearing gloves is pretty much essential. If you have a little bit of like a beanie hat, wear that too. But usually the hood on my hoodie or jacket works just fine. So I'm not really too worried about that. And even if it's like 50 degrees at Cedar Point, I was wearing my jacket because I was right on the lake. Stuff like that. Now, in terms of like shorts or like leggings or whatever, obviously women are different, but men, at least for me, I'm wearing cargo shorts. This is the big one for clothing items. You always wear cargo shorts. And that kind of reflects into what I said earlier about what I bring into the parks, because obviously if I'm bringing less stuff, that's going to be more in my pockets. So getting cargo shorts is key to survival. And nowadays I'm being really strict about what I buy for cargo shorts, because now I'm trying to find cargo shorts with zipper pockets. Zipper pockets are pretty much the guarantee your stuff will not fly out. I know some people have either buttons or Velcro on their cargo shorts, which is fine, I will suppose to say, but I have to politely disagree with that, because what if something flies off and something gets loose? So I don't really trust them as much, but with zippers, I'm 100% sure those are not going anywhere. I've ridden pretty much any type of coaster with zipper pockets. I mean, I'm either standing up or flipping upside down or doing an RMC or doing whatever the heck, and I'm pretty much good to go with zipper pockets. So if you can find them for pretty cheap, usually I shop at Boscov's at the Mill Creek Mall. That's pretty much been my go-to standard. I can usually find cheap cargo shorts for about 20 bucks. And that barely breaks even. So, and I'm pretty good at finding good deals. So if I can find cheap cargo shorts, the winner. Obviously, if I'm going in the fall or winter, I'm going to be wearing pants. But that's not really an issue for me, because my jackets will have zipper pockets and I can just put my stuff there, which kind of is a win-win. So I don't have to worry about jeans or anything, because I primarily wear jeans or cargo jeans. I don't like wearing athletic shorts or jorts or any of that. So I'm a very basic guy when it comes to wardrobing. So yeah, I'm very basic. But if you get cargo shorts, that's going to save you a head full. I know other styles are popular with other things, but I just go with the industry standard for what coaster enthusiasts wear, and trust me, it will save you a hot minute. Wearing these to the parks are just pretty much key. Now, if I go to a water park, that's going to pretty much change everything, because water parks, I'm a little more selective because I don't visit other water parks besides Waterworld too much. Splash Lagoon, I very rarely visit anymore. And if I go to another water park, I'm only there for a couple hours, maybe 2 hours max. And other water parks I've been to are pretty much Darien Lakes Water Park and Seabreeze. Maybe I'll do Del Grosso's when I go down there, stuff like that. Very small parks that have small water parks attached to them, I will obviously do. But I am pretty much happy of where I have in terms of parks. But water parks is a little bit of a tough one to swallow, because if I'm at like something like Splash Lagoon, the standard here in the area, I'm obviously going to bring my usual bag. I bring the Waldemar, I'll have my swimsuit, I'll have a towel, and I usually have like a long sleeve athletic fit shirt on. That I don't really like wearing shirts at parks anymore. Like, I don't like being shirtless. I feel insecure about my body. Even though I'm 6'3", 170 pounds, I'm still insecure about my looks sometimes. And yeah, so the best thing I want to do is just cover myself up just in case. And so I'll have usual swim trunks. I don't go for the ones that have pockets or anything. And plus, most slides ban stuff with like buttons, zippers, and stuff that could damage the water slides. So I tend to avoid those. Usually athletic fit shirts are okay. I had no issue at Waldemar or Splash Lagoon. I know some parks do ban them. It's just a case-by-case basis. But thankfully, when I went to Florida, I bought that Iron Gwazi athletic fit shirt. It's been working wonders for me. I've been wearing that to water parks. It's awesome. It's a great fit. I used to have a black one before that, just a plain black shirt. But now with Iron Gwazi, I can just ride Rocket Blast in style without really changing my wardrobe much. So if you want to go shirtless, if you're a male, that's fine. Women, I know you can either have a one-piece or a two-piece. It's just based on your needs, whatever you feel comfortable with. Obviously, everyone's going to have a different style they prefer. So no matter your gender or how you may identify yourself, wear what's comfortable for you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, this is what you have to wear, this is what you have to do, blah, blah, blah. I am not your hairdresser. I'm not your financial consultant. I'm not saying anything set in stone because everyone, regardless of identity, will have their own preferences. This is just my preferences that I wear to parks. And I feel comfortable the way I do, but it may not work for you. But it may not work for your mother. It may not work for your girlfriend or your brother or your husband or whatever it may be. Or your son or daughter, everything. But wear what's comfortable for you and put what you need in your pockets for you. Got it? Got it. Now, my car. This is another versatile thing because now that I talked about wardrobes, I talked about what I bring, the next important thing is your car. And I got my very first car last year. I know, late at 24 years old, getting his first car in his own name. Kind of say I am a little bit of a late bloomer, but I'm very happy with my very first car. It's a 2008 Buick Lucerne. That thing's got over 156,000 miles on it. That thing cooks. And I have nicknamed that car the Tank because Buicks are meant to last long. I've talked with my friends Travis and Taylor before, and they told me Buicks are weapons of destruction. They pretty much will last over 300,000 miles. It's got a 3800 V6 engine, and those engines will last. All you gotta do, as long as you put in the maintenance in the car, it will get you to parks. I know people have told me, oh, don't be doing this, don't be doing that, and everything else in between. But as long as you take care of the maintenance of your car, you will get to parks safely. That's how I've been able to do Knoebels safely. That's how I've been able to do Hershey safely. Stuff like that. Long distance trips. Even short distance. Short bursts to Waldameer and worked and back. Or stuff to like Darien Lake or Cedar Point or Midway State Park or whatever the park I may go to. The car has been through everything since the 2024 season. And that's just my public service announcement about maintenance, because if you don't do it, then you're going to have a bad car and it's going to rack up on bills and everything. Fortunately, I haven't had much problems with my car. The only things that have happened were power steer went out in June, an ignition coil went out in July, and I had to replace a headlight. That's about it. Other than that, car has been pretty much 100% operational, no major issues. I mean, knock on wood, nothing bad happens, and I have to sort out a lot of money from savings, but that car will be built to last a couple of more years at least. Trust me, I got a few more seasons to travel in that car. Once I get a different car, well, we'll experiment then. But with the car I have now, awesome. So how do I prepare it? So I basically make sure my car is clean, because sometimes I'll have guests in my car. I'll be bringing maybe one person to a park, maybe two people, even three people. I've had 4 people in my car at once sometimes, taking the parks. And sometimes there are parks far away, like Knoebels or something. I have to build my car for how many people are going to be in the car, because sometimes I will be transporting people. And I don't mind transporting people, picking up and dropping them off. Sometimes they have other situations. Either their car is unreliable or they just need a ride. I'm more than happy to do it. Sometimes I've been nicknamed the Uber driver because I've been pretty much frequently taking people to parks, but I have no problem doing so. I love having other people in the car to talk to. And plus, for those really long nights driving back home, it's great to have someone to talk to so you can stay awake and focused on the road. But I always keep the car clean, no matter if it's just myself driving or I have 4 people in the car. I will make sure the car is clean. And for winter stuff, I don't really mess around with winter driving because, again, most parks are closed. So I have to mainly stay in Erie if there's not a blizzard. And if it is winter, obviously you need the stuff like rock salt, a shovel, a snow brush, stuff like that. And you need your winter supplies. But if it's summer stuff, I pretty much take all the winter stuff out, and I have just pretty much the essentials. My mom has always said to keep a box of matches in my glove compartment just in case something goes wrong. Obviously a good safety tactic. Obviously you need to also have jumper cables in your car just in case, what if your battery just goes out for some reason? You need those. And I usually have a little bit of a survival kit. I know my mom kind of went a little haywire, but again, you're talking to an autistic adult. Sometimes mothers worry. That's a good thing. If your parent doesn't care about your child, then you're not being a parent. So I always make sure, I communicate, I'm at a park safely, I made it to my destination, and I'll give a rough estimate when I'm home just to make sure, because again, parents do worry. Even the older you get, the parents will still worry, trust me. Which, speaking of, if you need some good assurance that you're going to be safe on the road, AAA is your guy, because AAA has awesome services. I have my car insurance through them, and I'm also a AAA member. So in the event of an accident or the event my car breaks down, something, I can always rely on them to get me back to where I need to be so I can get my car fixed. But thankfully, again, knock on wood, that no major problems have happened yet that I needed to use their services. But AAA is there. They got me a good deal, and they're great at it. So again, this video is not sponsored by AAA, but I'm just saying AAA is just what I have. Some people may have State Farm or Progressive or whatever car insurance provider they may have. Whatever best fits for you and you have a good payment plan, go for it. I'm just happy to be fortunate to be in a good circumstance that I can communicate either on the phone or on the app, and I'll be on my way. So there's that about my survival gear. The inside of the car, I'll keep clean. And then in terms of like other stuff I'll bring in the car, there's a few things that I have in my car that are a bit special. Obviously, I am going to bring some snacks with me in the car, because no matter how long your drive is, you're obviously going to have snacks. And this kind of goes back to what I bring to Waldameer, kind of the small stuff. So I'll either have some chocolate bars, I'll have some cookies or some crackers or dry cereal or whatever. I'll keep that in the front side of my car on my left passenger side where I'm driving. So whatever, if I need something, I'll have it. It's kind of like a grab and go thing. Yes, I pay attention while I get a quick bite to eat, but sometimes you are a little bit rambunctious and you are a little hungry and you need something on the road. That's what I do. And again, sometimes I've went long drives without eating, which is a bad idea, but don't do that. And obviously have this extra water bottle in the car with you. Usually I'll have my gray thermos or like my big cup that I'll keep in the car, and then I'll bring a smaller one inside the park for myself. That way I keep a full water bottle throughout the entire day, and that'll last pretty much an entire car trip, no matter the distance. And I don't drink it all at once, because what if I have to go to the bathroom? But my car, I pretty much keep it my safe haven with that. So food and drink, I keep it sparingly in my car. It gets me covered. And some other things is that I have a little bit of a Bluetooth system. It's a bit jank. It's an old Bluetooth speaker that I had for nearly 7 years at this point, but that thing's been built like a tank too. I just plug it into the cigarette lighter in my car. Again, do not smoke. If you are a minor, do not do that. Drugs are bad, okay? But I have a cigarette lighter port that has 2 USB ports. So one of them is for my Bluetooth speaker, and the other one is for my phone charger. And I have a little bit of a phone stand that also double purposes as a cup holder, which I bought from Boscos for like $5. But it is very useful for what I need to do. I don't need the bare big stuff. I just need basics. And I know there's stuff on TikTok and stuff with like CarPlay and all this other jargon, but my setup works just fine. The Bluetooth speaker works. The quality is good. I don't need super loud bass or super loud music, because obviously that's going to be a distraction and that could disrupt people around me. So I have the speaker at a reasonable volume when I drive, and again, no texting while driving. It's very bad. Always have your seatbelt on. Always go the speed limit. And usually I'm at my destination within 2 hours time or more. Usually if within the tri-state area, I can be there within 2 hours or a little bit more. In terms of the larger parts, so like the larger distances, I can be there in 3 to 4 hours. But again, always obey the speed limit, always wear your seatbelt, no texting and driving, do not drink and drive. All those driving safety tips that your parents or other parental figures have told you in school when you were little, they apply here. And I've only been pulled over once, but that was because I did a rolling stop. So yes, I have been experienced with the law before, but again, if you somehow get pulled over, always cooperate with local authorities. Always give them your registration, license, and proof of insurance. Thankfully, with that situation, I only got off with a warning. But again, you always have to be prepared to see if there's cops or anything, because there could be high traffic, there could be an accident, there could just be more police presence somewhere. And usually I've been pretty lucky about where cops are. I'm very vigilant on the interstate while I drive, where cops are. Usually I have a good idea where they will be at certain points, especially on I-79. I'm very vigilant about that. 90, I'm pretty good too, but sometimes, especially in New York State, they can be a little bit hidden within the medians when I'm on the thruway. Ohio State Patrol can be the same way too, but just always be cooperative and drive safely. That's all I'm going to say about that. That car is your safe haven. That is pretty much your lifeline between parks. And that thing has lasted over 13,000 miles and more. And I'm looking forward to putting in some more miles this summer to my favorite destinations and some new ones. So that car will last. So as a final say, as long as you put in the maintenance, you have a good car. So that's how I prepare for it. Now, other things, money strategies. This one is a big one, because if you do not manage your money well, you are going to be bankrupt. Have you seen Wheel of Fortune or other game show? They gamble all sorts of money and then they lose it all? Yeah. If you are that person, then you need to get some professional help. I cannot help you there. And two, if you do get some advice and you want to learn about this, money saving is a big thing, because especially now with my job, I like to save as much money as possible and get a massive influx, because obviously, again, I'm 25, I'm an adult, I have bills to pay, so obviously I have things to worry about. So there's a lot of things to consider, my phone bill, my park passes, Spotify Premium, my student loans I need to pay back, all that. So I need to consider how much money a month I am spending on bills, and then how much money I'm making at work, and then what else can I put to the side, because I have a savings account too. And this is the good thing my grandparents have taught me. They pretty much hardwired this into my brain. And again, good parental figures and good parenting make good children and grandchildren. And trust me, having a savings account has been a best friend, because again, just in case of an emergency, something goes wrong with your car, something comes up and you need to spend a lot of money, you have the money for it. And there's always a thing my grandfather has said. If you know the old guy Wingnut that used to be in my videos long ago, he's the same one. He always tells me this, and I'll say it again: wants and needs. There are wants out there that you want to do, and there is needs that you need to do. I know there's a lot of wants in parks, but there's a lot of needs in parks too. Like again, if you go to parks often, you need a season pass, because you will be there often. So again, that covers Waldameer, Darien Lake, all the Legacy Six Flags parks, all the Legacy Cedar Fair parks, and Kennywood. So I pretty much have the entire region locked in. So I can pretty much go anywhere I please safely. But in terms of like wants, it's like, oh, I want Fastlane Plus. Do I really need it? Is it that busy enough to do that? Or it's like, oh, there's a really cool upcharge attraction I want to do. Do I really need to ride it? No. A lot of times the answer is no. If you're even doubting about wants and needs and you think, am I skeptical about this? Usually the answer is no. So I've been very good about saving money. Sometimes I will be a little bit rambunctious about money and will spend a big figure on something. I know I did that with Florida. That kind of hurt my account a little bit. And then buying this new GoPro did, because again, this is going to be probably my last ever upgrade. But other than that, I usually do a thing I adopted myself. I call this the 75-25 rule. So 75% of my money goes into my savings account. Most of my money. 25% is for what I spend. And whatever money I need, I'll just pull out of my savings account that exact amount. Good to go. And again, I had a stable income, so even though I do work part-time split, I still have a stable income coming every month that I've been able to pay my bills, able to pay for everything I need, so I have food on the table and then that I can survive. So using the 75-25 rule helps me, at least. I mean, it's something my grandparents really put in my mind, especially with the savings account, but I'm fortunate to have that, because some people don't have it that easy and will either overspend and have not any money or just don't do anything at all. And if you don't do anything, well, if you buy less at the park, that's fine. You're saving money in the end. And sometimes I like to go ambitious on things, but I'm pretty much been happy of where I've been income-wise. So strategically with accounts, again, wants and needs. So that cuts in my next thing, food. This is where I'm going to get really rambunctious about park spending, because this can either make or break. When it comes to park food, most of the time, if I'm at Waldameer, obviously I'm going to buy the food there, because Waldameer food is usually cheaper than store-bought or whatever. I know inflation is pretty much BS at this point. Inflation's at an all-time high. It sucks. We live in an economy where Pennsylvania is still $7.25 minimum wage. But again, I'm not going to get into the politics and stuff. But again, we live in a world that inflation is real. So obviously things are going to cost more nowadays. It's not like $5 footlongs and everything's $1 at Dollar Tree anymore. We're way past that. And usually if I do go out somewhere, I usually have the restaurants app. I do not mind eating fast food. Yes, I'm one of those people that says I will forego nice stuff at parks for fast food, because if a park meal is expensive, if I'm paying $20 for a chicken tender meal at Six Flags Darien Lake with a 10% discount, then what am I doing? I shouldn't be spending $20 on a meal. I'd rather go down the road to a McDonald's and pay half price for the same amount, because I could just go to a McDonald's, get a 20-piece McNugget and basket of fries for $9, and it'd be just as much as a 3-piece tender basket for $20. You know how insane that is? But usually McDonald's has been my go-to restaurant for all things. Usually I'll eat breakfast at McDonald's before I go to the park. Yeah, I know what's good about eating at home, but usually I am pretty much out the door once I wake up and I need something to eat, so I'll go to McDonald's for an order of hotcakes. That's usually been my stereo grind. 2 orders of it, so that's 6 hotcakes. I know that's kind of showing, I abuse my body and whatnot, but there's that. And then dinner, obviously, I'll either go with the 20-piece and the fries, or I'll go with a McCrispy and the medium fry, whatever suits my boat. But I'll usually eat fast food if I'm not eating park food, because obviously some park food is expensive, but there are certain circumstances where I have to stop and eat park food. I used to do that a lot in my Park and Eat series back in the day, where I would stop, drop, and roll and go eat the park food. But unless you are Waldameer or Knoebels or a park that has a unique food item that you wouldn't get anywhere else, just get fast food. I know that's just a lot of slop, a lot of calories, and it will clog up your arteries. I know, very unhealthy, but I will default to fast food if needed. And again, I'll have the little snacks with me in between, so I do not go a day near hungry or thirsty. Yeah, sometimes I'll push my body to my limits. That's my fault. That's my fault for pushing it, because there have been times where I've been nearly dehydrating myself at Cedar Point or whatever, and I'm out till 2:30 in the morning scavenging to get home, but that's myself for pushing it. So in terms of food, that's that. Souvenirs. This is another big one that can make or break your thing. In 2024, unfortunately, I went way overboard with things, because I bought a lot of shirts and I bought a lot of other souvenirs. And shirts, I like to buy at least one shirt from every park I visit, because I want to have either the best ride or the best coaster on my shirt. Like what I'm wearing right now, my Wildcats Revenge shirt. That's probably the only Hershey shirt I want, because as much as I want like a Sky Rush or a Candemonium shirt or a shirt that says Hershey Park, if I think Hershey Park, I'm thinking Wildcats Revenge. I want that. I know multiple parks I have multiple shirts like Waldameer, Cedar Point, and whatnot, but any other park, I usually just like to either have the park's name or the park's best coaster on it. Usually they'll run me either $20, $30. I'll just get a random t-shirt, in the color I prefer, and I'm on my way. But I've had a problem last year, unfortunately. I'm going to try to limit this down this year, of buying extra souvenirs that I truly didn't need. I know I bought Thunderbolt wood for $50. I know that's a lot for just a piece of wood, but it's something I really wanted. And again, that kind of got me carried away of wants and needs, because I wanted a Pantheon thing. I bought it for Christmas. A coaster cutout. Did not finish it. However, my Iron Gwazi one, I wanted finished. So it's stuff like that. And if I can eliminate extra souvenir costs, that'll really go a long way, because I feel like the only time that I should really splurge on stuff like that is Coaster Bash or auction events. Because those will get me the best items, because I've gotten some of my best items at auction events for Ace, such as a Waldemar Operation sign or a Ravine Flyer 2 flag and seatbelt, stuff like that, where you can get real, authentic stuff. Sure, it might be a little more expensive in the auction, but it might be better than what the park may sell. So, try to limit down your souvenirs to just 1 or 2 items, and if you really, worst case, just buy a shirt. If you're really tight, just buy a shirt of the park, and that's fine. I don't really need to be buying $100 worth of merch, because that's just going to bring my checking account down. And that's just more in savings I need to pull out later. So if you limit your souvenir buying, you're good. If you get something for free or an auction, that's different. But usually if I'm going to a park now, I'm going to go buy the shirt. And I'm pretty much happy about that. So there's that about souvenirs. And then other stuff you might need, upcharge attractions. That's a case-by-case basis. Or games. Games is pretty much a money waster in my opinion, because Kennywood is charging $10 a game, and that's ridiculous. I know Waldemar is getting up there with like $5.50, $6.50 prices, but games are getting expensive nowadays. If you want the best value arcade, go to Playport, which is down the street from Waldemar, near 12th and Peninsula. It's like $14 for 3 hours of unlimited play, plus 9 holes of mini golf. Where else can you get unlimited play like that for arcades? Don't be purchasing arcade cards or whatever and whatnot. It's just going to bring your cost even down. I learned that when I did the Jay's Place series very early on. After the 2019 season, I pretty much canceled the series because, again, I was spending way too much on getting small prizes and not getting a benefit. Yeah, I'm going to be bringing back Jay's Place for one time only, same with Park and Eat, but the cost just brings you down in the long run. Don't do that to yourself. So games is pretty much a money waster there. And sometimes I will splurge on other things too. I know Ace events are a big one. And usually Ace members do get a discount. You get an even further discount if you are a season pass holder, which usually that works in my favor. So I am willing to spend a little more for a park trip if it's an Ace event, Ravine Flyer Frenzy, KennyCon, because you get special benefits like exclusive ride time, behind-the-scenes tours, a catered lunch of higher quality food than what the park serves. I mean, shout out to the Hamikin, one of the worst creations I ever made. But stuff like that. I'm willing to pay a premium for a specialty event. Now, the last section is just other tips and tricks I've learned throughout the years that are just general guidelines, and then I'll end off with one of the biggest ones. And again, this might be a controversial one, but again, I'm going to start with some of the smaller tips and tricks. Usually my goal is to visit parks on weekdays, not weekends. I have learned from parks on weekends that they are a slaughter fest, especially during haunt season, because I pretty much learned pretty much right off the bat with haunt season is that they are way more busy. Kirk and I found out that the hard way. But usually, in terms of park trips during the summer, I like to target weekdays. And sometimes it's okay to visit parks in inclement weather. Just check their rain policy. I know Kennywood now notoriously has a BS rain policy, but Waldemar has been one of the parks with the best rain policies, because they'll pretty much have mostly everything open unless there's thunder and lightning in the area. Generally, if there is thunder and lightning, rides are going to shut down for obvious safety concerns. But even if the park just calls for rain, embrace the rain. Yeah, you might get a little wet and you need to take a shower after you get home so you don't catch sickness. But sometimes going to a park in the rain is fine. And even if it does rain at one point of the day, as long as the rain isn't persistent for a long period of time, most times parks won't close. And if the rain does persist, they will close a few hours early. I was rather unlucky with the Kennywood situation. They closed 8 hours early. But sometimes with Waldemar, they'll usually close an hour early if the rain persists or whatnot. But I've been pretty lucky with weather. But sometimes going on cloudy days is the same way because people will think it rained and not a lot of people show up. So there have been a lot of cloudy days I've been going to parks, and I've worked that out too. And sometimes if it's really, really hot, I hate to say it, go to a park on a really hot day. Because most people are not going to be in the amusement park. They're going to be in the water park trying to cool off or on the water rides. But your focus is on coasters. So you kind of have to think outside the box on that. And the other one I have is pretty much eat at off-peak times. Because I've learned the hard way that if I eat around normal dinner time, everyone's going to want dinner. So I just eat at off-peak times if I do eat inside the park. That way you have the shortest lines and you're not waiting 20 minutes to get $20 chicken tenders, for example. Stuff like that. You just go when it's least crowded. You can usually get your food right away. Fast passes are also a good one. I know they're a little bit of an upcharge, especially like Cedar Point, but if you do get like a fast lane or a flash pass, they are extremely useful. These passes will bypass most lines. I know at Cedar Point it's been a little more controversial because of the joint points they have, but for most rides, they do save you a heck of a lot of time. Usually will bring you up to the station, and I can usually get higher ride counts, and even on busy weekends, I can usually not worry about it because I can basically turn any park now into a Waldameer style line. With walk-ons are very short waits, and it's not an issue for me. So if you have the extra money, definitely go spend for a fast pass because it will save you a lot of time waiting in line, and it will save you going back to a park immediately after to get missing credits, because there have been times I go to parks, even with Fastlane, I miss out some coasters. And I know Canada's Wonderland was the biggest offender with this, and I missed out 4 coasters entirely. Now that credit count is now missing 6, but yeah, as long as you plan it correctly. So, and I think the next point is also another one, is to plan your park route correctly. Because even if you have Fast Pass or not, you have to have an attack plan. Where to go immediately after opening. And usually I arrive at the park at least 30 to 45 minutes early, no matter the park. If I'm even at Waldameer I can get away with a little bit because, well, the park's smaller, it has a smaller attendance figure. I mean, I can get to Waterworld at 11, 15 minutes early, and I don't have to worry about a line sometimes. But usually for other parks, I like to be there 30 to 45 minutes early. So let's just say the park opens at 11 a.m. I'm usually down there by 10:30. Just to make sure, because again, sometimes with parks, there'll be a big line outside the park. I know Kennywood does this, so I want to make sure I'm one of the first people in line so I can rush to my first attraction. Sometimes the park will just be open, but the rides don't open to a specific time. So in that case, you just go to the targeted ride of your choice, which gets to my next point with that. Is once you arrive early, you have to have a game plan where you want to go first. And I know every other coaster enthusiast has said this, I'll say it again. Go to the worst capacity ride first. A lot of this will be coasters that run either one train or just have a reduced capacity, like smaller cars or something. So stuff like that will be like Tantrum at Darien Lake, Exterminator at Kennywood, Flight of Fear at Kings Island, stuff like that. Coasters that have poor capacity and that have slow loading times and whatnot will be your biggest wins first thing, because every time I go to Kennywood now, I'm always darting to Exterminator because that line will clog up quick. I'm going to Darien Lake. I go to Tantrum right away. Same thing. I will go to that. And sometimes it may not be that scenario. Sometimes it might be their newest ride. You have to rope drop their newest ride. I know some parks have a new coaster coming. If I go to a new park and there's a new coaster, I'm going right to it. I did that with SeaWorld Orlando with Penguin Trek. I just darted right over there. Sure, it ended up having like a 15-20 minute wait later in the day, but I got 2 rides within the span of a walk-on very quickly. So you always have to fight for that too. And yeah, and don't be afraid to get the parks app. That's another thing. Sure, wait times may not be the most accurate things, but having park apps are very useful. Again, you can have your park tickets installed right to your app, but you can also find the park layout and then places to eat. Sometimes I like to look for places to eat in advance, so as soon as I get off from a ride and I know I'm hungry, I'm going right to that food stand or right to that shop or wherever I need to go. which is also convenient in group settings too, because say the group splits off for a little bit and then you want to rejoin at some point, you can say, hey, we can rejoin at, example, Top Thrill 2, the lawn ornament, and we can go from there. Or, oh, meet me at the lawn ornament near Aero 360. Something like that, where, a conjuncture point. And having communication is key at parks. Because if you don't have communication, then you're not going to have a good day, unfortunately. So that is kind of one of my other tips and tricks on that. And probably my final tips and tricks I want to talk about, it might be the most controversial out of the ones that I've mentioned. But I mentioned this in the beginning of the video. I have autism. So sometimes high crowds can be an issue for me, and standing in line for long periods of time can be an issue. That also is further complicated with my ankle injuries I've had over the years, such as my bike accident in 2020 and my trailer accident in 2023. So my left ankle is not in the best shape. And again, my doctor said I'll have complications for the rest of my life. So it is a little bit of annoyance going to parks and having to sit down every now and then because, well, your ankle is just going to cramp all of a sudden. So sometimes within your restrictions, you have to get ADA. I know this is not for everybody. Everyone's circumstances to get ADA is different. You have different reasons. You might have a physical disability. You might have like a learning disability or something, or an injury that complicates something. Whatever it is, don't be afraid to ask about their ADA policies. Because I used to be afraid about that all the time, because I first used ADA in 2020 at Waldameer. It was much simpler back then. And then I used it at Cedar Point in 2021, but I didn't really like it at Cedar Point. But I really saw the full use of it when I went to Kennywood last year. Using it at Kennywood, they are super accommodating with you. All you just got to do is fill out some general paperwork about what your needs are and what you have. And, I just explained, I'm on the autism spectrum. I can't really wait in line that long, and I have an ankle injury that I can't stand for long periods of time, stuff like that. And usually they are very accommodating to people's needs. I know there's been a lot of controversy nowadays of people either abusing it or not giving them at all. And I know a lot of parks are starting to use stricter systems like the Universal card that's applying to a lot of parks, especially the Six Flags parks all across the chain, Universal, even Waldameer implemented the program now. But there are some parks that are super accommodating, like Kennywood's an easy one to accommodate, and especially also Hershey Park. I'm holding my Hershey Park one right now, which is awesome because all you got to do is just show this to a ride to let you in. And again, I do not want to be the person that is bragging about a ADA pass that's on the autism spectrum, because technically with my needs, I could technically say, I'm not qualified. But I also use it because, again, what if something breaks? What if I have a mental breakdown or something or whatnot? What if my ankle cramps and I can't stand in line much longer? Stuff like that. What if something happens to me, either physically or mentally or whatever, that's going to affect me, and I pretty much shut down. Autistic people are known for shutting down. I'm no exception because I tend to have my shutdowns or meltdowns. I mean, I don't really have tantrums anymore, but I will shut down if things get complicated. Either, a lot of anxiety goes around in the parks or whatnot, and it's okay to have ADA. It's always good to ask first before making the right decision, because I know there's going to be a lot of people in this podcast that may be watching that might be controversial about the subject or have their own 2 cents about it, and I'm just going to say this, just please keep your comments respectful. If you have something bad to say, please just do not say it at all. I do not have time for that in this podcast anywhere on social media, but I use ADA for my accommodations, and my accommodations work for me, because sometimes nowadays parks are getting increasingly harder to navigate from a mental and emotional standpoint, and there's going to be a higher chance now than ever, unfortunately, that I will have a mental breakdown. So I find ways to combat that. I mean, other accommodations I used to have loop earplugs back in 2023, which really helped me in the long run, because loop earplugs, I could just eliminate the loud noises, usually up to negative 22 decibels, which was fantastic. It made things go by quick, and I might end up getting another pair of loop earplugs because they were super comfortable, they were easy to use. If I don't do that, I just use earbuds, kind of just some Bluetooth earbuds, maybe headphones. I mean, I'm not really the guy to wear headphones to the park because of the bulkiness, but if I have like AirPods or something, like Bluetooth earbuds also work too. I can just drown out the loud noises with music. So I'll always have my pair of earbuds with me because if it gets too loud or too complicated, I'm just going to turn on my phone and I'll blast some Metallica, and that'll just calm me down. It works every single time. Even if I get too anxious at Waldameer, I'm finding the sky ride immediately, blasting the music, and I'm calmed down within 5 minutes. So I use my accommodations to my wants and needs. Yours is the same. So that's pretty much my tips and tricks, and that's pretty much my survival guide onto how I navigate amusement parks. And again, everyone's going to be different with their accommodations and needs and wants. People are going to dress differently. They're going to bring different stuff to the parks. They're going to get there differently, either by car or public transit or Uber or whatever. I mean, people have different money strategies. People have other tips and tricks. People have other accommodations. Everyone is different in their own sense. So again, like I said earlier, regardless of identity, who you are, what your gender or sexuality or how you identify yourself, everyone has different accommodations to their wants and needs. And these were just mine that I had to list here. So I'm very thankful about the things I use at parks because they've helped me become more successful in park content creation, but also to help better understand how parks operate, which is why I made this podcast episode, because with the park season now pretty much in full swing with Waldameer opening tomorrow on May 3rd, I'm pretty much making this episode as a call out to what I do and how you could prepare yourself. So as I kind of say, just take everything with a grain of salt because, again, everyone's accommodations are different. But I'm very happy to see what I've done in parks, and I'm looking forward to learning new tips and tricks because with coaster enthusiasts, we're always learning new things. So anything I learn from a content creator or someone I meet at a park or whatever, it could be beneficiary to future park trips. And it makes me happy to see other people happy because I've seen some people use my tips and tricks before, which had them have a higher quality park visit. And sometimes that's been the reciprocal. I've been inspired by some other people's things and it's helped me. So there's kind of that crisscross in that. So that's pretty much my stance of how I view parks from the sense of me on the autism spectrum. So let me know down below what you do for parks. How do you prepare yourself and your survival guide? I will be at Waldameer tomorrow to go celebrate opening day, season 129 at the park. I am freaking excited. I cannot wait to be back at that park. But that means travel season is upon us, and there's just going to be a lot of interviews going forward. So just prepare yourself. But I'm Jay of Insane Coaster Junkie. You've been listening to Ride on Track. And as I always say on my YouTube channel, Lux Eterna Inamorata from Zero.